What's good, Chaotic Nation and Invisible People? My name is Chaos, and I am back with Map Madness Part 2, or Remastered, or whatever I decided to title this thing. But we are back doing Map Madness again. Now, you guys might remember from March, the beginning of the channel, that I did this exact same layout before, and talked about my picks for what were the best places to drop or the worst places on the map. We're doing it again. It's because we had a... Things have changed. Season 1 is now out. We have new goals and achievements and things we have to do. Some of the locations have shifted. And Tui and I thought it would be a good idea for me to redo this video, as well as the video about the guns. So that will also be coming out in a couple of weeks, so you will see that later. But as for now, we're doing Map Madness Part 2. We are back with some more Apex, and I am very excited to see how my opinions have changed and where this is going to take us. So first and foremost, we got to deal with our little brackets here at the top. As you can see, over there is the pit and supply ships. Over here is water treatment and bridges. So we got to deal with the water treatment and bridges first. And looking at the two sections of the map here, I really like water treatment plant. I like the buildings there. I like the building there. I hate the openness of it. Like, there's so much open space in the middle that, like, it sucks to get in final matches there. But bridges is just completely open. And so with that, I have to give the edge to the water treatment plant. Now for the pit and supply ships are the worst place to drop on the map. So definitely pit gets that one. And I will throw those two into the next round. Again, we're going to be starting on the south side here with Skulltown and water treatment, moving down the left side of the screen. Then we'll switch over to this side and go down the right side of the screen, starting at the top with bunker and pit, and ending with repulsor and wetlands. So let's get into this first round here. Skulltown and water treatment plant. It's water treatment, 100%. I'm not a Wraith main. I do not want to drop Skulltown. Skulltown is like the worst place on this map to ever drop. Do never drop in Skulltown. It's so bad. Like, if it was bridges in Skulltown would have been the one that kicked out, because I hate this place. Like, everybody drops here. If the ship flies over this place, there's like 20 teams there. Half the supply ship is dropping there. Wraith mains are there. You never get any guns. You're probably going to die really quickly. It's a good place to come late game, but it sucks early game, and everybody drops there. It's just such a bad place. So water treatment plant has to be the one I pick. I love the place. Good diversity of weapons. Good layouts. Gives you some options to have some cool gunfights. So definitely going to give the edge to water treatment plant there. Next up is the Market and Thunderdome. Now, this one is a little bit more tricky for me. Market is a really cool place to drop. Once you get inside, it can be a bloodbath. It could be you hide in buildings and you hide in the little rooms and kill people. It's really an interesting place. Thunderdome is also very interesting. It's got 3 specific spots and then like one open like respawn area. That's really cool. It actually has some more loot in it now, and because of the extra added loot, I actually am going to have to choose to go Thunderdome here with our next pick. As you guys have already seen, artillery is the one that's going to win the Cascades versus artillery. I still really love artillery. I love the buildings there. I think it's one of the best spots to go and grab loot. And Cascades just seems a little bit of way too open. It's a nice place to run through to get some stuff really quickly. Like if you're trying to run in from the circle and the storm, you can run right through there, grab some things, and keep going. But it's just not a good place to go right off the bat. And for that reason, I will not pick Cascades over artillery. I have to give the edge to artillery. Now this one right here, this last one in the north column, really has put a damper on my picks so far. The rest of them have been easy. I think the first round was a pretty easy one for me for the most part. But this pick right here is the big one of this bracket, the one that's going to make the big difference later on, I feel like. And so I really didn't like Slum Lakes when I first saw the game, but now it's become a really good place to go. You have a lot of options to get around people. You can find loot. Even if you're in the middle of a gunfight, you can back off, find loot, and just regroup again. It's just a really cool place to fight, and I really do enjoy it. And plus, it's got the best loot, some of the best loot spots in the map. So definitely looking at that. But Relay is something I've always really liked. I like the spread out of it. The Gorge is awesome. using the zip lines around people, but I just think I have to give the edge to Slum Lakes here. It's just such a cool place with really good access to some cooler places on the west side of the map that we're going to get to talk to in a little bit, but it's a really good place to drop, especially when no one's there. You get to loot that entire place. You get to go to the pit. You can go to Runoff. Like, it's got some nice. It's good starting point, and I really like Relay for the exact same reasons, because they're both in the top corners of the map, and so I really like those places. As you guys will see later on, like I love the corner spots, like Thunderdome's bottom left. So definitely some of my favorite places on the map to go to, because usually nobody goes there, and usually like every other or every 3 matches or so, the supply ship does not fly really close enough for you to hit there. So a lot of people decide not to go to those places, but you can find gear there, make your way back into the circle, and actually go ham. So I'm gonna have to give the edge to Slum Lakes here in this very, very difficult first round of choices. Next up, we got Bunker and the Pit. Now, 2 really good ones here as well. Both very good places to die. Pit wide open, really no coverage besides a few crates and the boxes. Bunker very, very open, very narrow as well, so you have little space to move and go around. And I think I have to give the edge to the Pit for that reason. The tightness of Bunker, the one like narrow pathway, is not big enough for a fight. Now, if it was open more and they had more space in it, maybe it might have been a different story, but the Pit has better loot, and the Bunker is really only a place to go if you have a caustic. So I would not choose to go to the Bunker. It's a good place to run through, never a good place to sit and hang out. So would not recommend the Bunker unless you have a caustic or you want to die really fast. Take your pick. Next up is Airbase and Runoff. Easy pick for me. Runoff is the go-to. I still don't like Airbase as much. I feel like where the boxes are on the end of the strip really makes it hard to get loot there, especially if you have a sniper. Someone with a Kraber just picks you off. It's no problem for them. So I don't really like it. But then again, if you get closer into the map and not play out on the outside, it's actually fine. There's really good places there. I've won a few matches running Airbase. I know it's a place Dave likes, so I've played it with Dave a bit, and he's actually made me like it a little bit more. So yeah, Airbase is not terrible. Not my least favorite spot on the map anymore, but definitely not going to beat Runoff, because Runoff has some really cool features about it too. I like the buildings and how they're sort of like the same place twice, but there's like an indent in one. So you can start at one side of the thing and move around the other side, and then loop back up into either into Slum Lakes, or you can loop over into the Pit, or just run straight over and try to get into the middle of the map, whatever you need to do. It's a pretty good spot in the top left corner of the map, so I have to give it over Airbase. Next up, we're moving to the east side of the map. We got Swamp and a Hydro Dam. So last time we did this, Swamp actually won. I still really like the place. It's really cool. As you guys have kind of picked up on probably by now, I don't really care for the open spaces. I guess I have been playing Bangalore a little bit more, but the Swamp has been somewhere that's been a little bit more tricky to navigate now. And Hydro Dam is kind of cool too, but again, it suffers from the massive open space. Yes, there's a bunch of stuff there, but that makes it incredibly difficult to hunt and fight people in. And usually someone's going to see you and wait till you get out into the clearing spot, and then they're going to pop you. So it was a hard choice for me, but I have to give it to Swamp still. I still really love this place. Still somewhere I like to drop, and usually a place where people don't go. So definitely have to pick Swamp. Just be careful when you get to the side of the map that you don't fall off. Next up is Repulsor and Wetlands. Now this one, it's kind of interesting. So Wetlands reminds me a little bit about Swamp. It's just like a mini swamp. But Repulsor actually has one feature in it that makes me like it a lot more. And that's the 2 buildings that are connected both above and below. So they're 2 big bunkers. You get into one that has an upstairs room, and then it has like the giant hangar, and then it has underground passageway you can go underneath to get between the buildings. It also has a catwalk above that you can find loot outside and get to the other side. So I really like those 2 places together. It's a really good place to fight. It's also really fun to fight there. So I have to give the edge to Repulsor this time, and we'll see what we get now that we're moving into the round of 8. We got 8 places on this map left to go through. So we're going to start in the south region with the water treatment plant and the Thunderdome. So we got Water Treatment Plant, Thunderdome. Both really cool places. I really like them. This is another tough one for me to do. Water Treatment Plant was something I really liked the first time we did this. Thunderdome is something I've started to like a little bit more now that there's more loot in it. So it's really difficult, but I have to give the edge to the Thunderdome here. I think the increased loot in it, the use of the grapples throughout it, make it just a hair better than Water Treatment Plant. Also, the way you can just run into Skulltown, which everyone's going to be at after you've already got some good loot, is really nice and a really good way just to get some early fighting in. And so for that reason, I have to give the edge to the Thunderdome. For the north part of the map, we got Artillery and Slum Lakes. Again, really, really hard, but I have made a pretty good case for Slum Lakes already, and I'm going to stick to it. I really like this place. It's got really good loot. I think Artillery is a little bit more open than Slum is, so I like the compactness of the buildings, that you can just slip in and out of the buildings, and it's really hard for someone to pick you off unless they know you're there. So I just think it's a great place to fight, and I really like Slum Lakes. For the west region, we got the Pit and Runoff. So this is interesting. The Pit, again, very tight, very open, but very small. Runoff, again, pretty open. So a really difficult choice here. I'm going to get to Runoff this time. The Pit is just a place, literally, if you don't drop and you don't get a gun, you're dead. That's how it runs. Runoff, you have a little bit of a chance of survival. And for that reason, I give it a little bit of an edge. It's also a really cool place to fight because it does resemble Water Treatment Plant just a bit with its building design, but it just, the openness on the outside is not the best, and you're gonna have to run through an open area to get to the next place anyway, so it's maybe not the best place to go, but I do have to give it the edge over the Pit. And finally, with the east, we have Swamp versus Repulsor. I have to give it to Repulsor this time. I like that building way too much. Swamp is, again, just a hair too open. So Repulsor actually does a really nice job of getting early fights as well as having really cool locations to fight in, and also gives you pretty good loot as well. And you can just run over to bridges if you want to afterwards. It's great. And finally, we've got to the final four: Thunderdome versus Slum Lakes and Runoff versus Repulsor. For the north-south side, Thunderdome and Slum Lakes. Now, both corners of the map, I love the corners. I've talked about the corners already. I love how the corners of this map are. They're really good places to drop. But again, Thunderdome is a little too open, so I give the edge to Slum Lakes here. I have to give the edge there. Thunderdome is just a hair too open. Even with the loot drop, it has made it a better spot to drop. However, it's just a little open in my opinion and not really good for the comfort. Next, on the other side, we got Runoff and Repulsor. Very difficult decision for me here as well. Two places that seem pretty different, but also very similar. They have a wide open space, and they have tight buildings that you can fight in. But I think I have to give the edge to the Repulsor. I think the building design of those two buildings together just works a little bit better than the pseudo Water Treatment Plant-esque buildings in Runoff. And I think the Repulsor has a good way to get to different areas. It's really close to the Hydro Dam. You can loop around and get to Swamp. Like, there's a bunch of things you can do with Repulsor. And I think that just gives it slightly an edge. Rather than running through a bunch of open area to get picked off by a sniper rifle, we have a place that you actually can get somewhere without dying. So I have to give the edge to Repulsor. And finally, the last section of this fun little map madness part 2, we have Slum Lakes and Repulsor. So this is very difficult, but also very easy for me. I really like the building, and I really like the compactness and the ability to fight in Slum Lakes, but Repulsor is so much more than just those two buildings. And so I have to give it to Slum Lakes here. Slum Lakes is a really good place to drop. I really enjoy it. Got high tier loot, great ways to get into the Pit, place that no one usually goes, and the corner of the map is definitely a place I will always go. So I have to give the edge to Slum Lakes here, and Slum Lakes is going to win Map Madness for this second time. Are you guys surprised with what happened, what changed with the places? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, feel free to let me know what your favorite place to drop is, and I will also, again, post this in the description down below if you want to fill out this bracket for yourself. And I'm actually kind of thinking about doing it on my Twitter. So if you guys want me to do this on my Twitter now that season 1 is out, feel free to let me know that in the comment section down below. I will take it in consideration, and make sure you can follow me over there. Follow me on Twitch. Follow my Discord server, and I will see you guys for more content from me this month. Hope you guys are enjoying Apex. I hope you guys are enjoying Invisible Corporations. And I will see you guys next time for some more content. So until then, my name is Chaos, and I am signing off. Stay safe, and as always, burn it up.